As my daddy said when I was a young lad, son, there's two things you don't discuss when you're in the bar. One, politics, and the other, religion.
Man Up with Mark. Mark talks about everything under the sun. You may agree with him, and again, you may not.
Today, we're going to talk about the first one.
Politics.
We're going to talk about my thoughts on politics. They might not be the right thoughts. They might not be like your thoughts. But they're thoughts at any rate.
What the fuck is he thinking?
Let me do some full disclosure to you. I am not a Republican, and I'm not a Democrat. I was an independent for the longest time. Until about, a few years ago.
What the hell are you?
The Libertarian Party caught my interest. I like their platform. I like their thoughts. And I thought they had a good chance of becoming a strong third party. So far, that has not come to fruition yet. I still like a lot of their policies, but as far as them turning into a strong third party like I was hoping for, because again, full disclosure, I am all for a third party. I think our country needs a third party to come in, a strong third party, a legit third party. This duopoly is failing us. The experiment has run now for 240 some years, I believe.
Maybe it's 248.
And it was a good experiment for the most part. But lately, I'm going to say in the last 10, 15, 20 years, it's been failing us. And we need to bring it back on course.
Set a course.
And we need to do it. The officials that we're electing aren't doing it. We need to do it. We need to figure out how to do it. We need to figure out how to elect the people that are needed in our political realm to make our government work better for us. Because our government is not working for us. It is not for the people, by the people anymore. It's for the powers, by the powerful. That's a scary thought. But let me go back to me. I decided to join the Libertarian Party. But for the most part, I have always been, and always will be, a person and policies person when it comes to voting for someone. I'll see what that person is doing, has been doing. I'll see what that person's policies are. And if I align with that person, I'll vote for that person. Now, in time, they may change, I may change, and I might not vote for them again. But for the most part, that's how I stand on politics. I am not one of those that hates the left or that hates the right.
I hate you! I hate you!
Or that thinks that MAGA is going to be the ruination of our country, or that the extreme left is going to corrupt us and make communism take over.
Communists.
No, I think that is hyped up hyperbole that has been going on for way too long, and it stirs people up to an unnecessary fervor. It's not needed. It doesn't help. I grew up in the 50s and 60s. That's when I was young. I was born in the 50s. My youth in the 60s. I became of voting age in the 70s.
Yeah, peace. I love peace.
For the most part, politics And voting for your politician of choice was really a personal issue. You didn't discuss it much with people. At least I didn't. My parents didn't. My parents' friends didn't. There were very few occasions that I can remember that my parents ever got into a political discussion with anybody.
Way of saying, mind your own business.
My parents were Democrats. Well, at least my father was. He would vote a straight Democratic ticket every time. Didn't matter if you thought the guy was good, bad, or indifferent. He's a Democrat. That's why I'm going to vote for him. I'm going to keep the Democrats going. Now, again, my father worked for the government, and I suppose that's what a lot of government people do. I don't know. Now, my mother, she was registered as a Democrat. I think she voted Democrat most of the time. But I think there were times that she may have voted for somebody else and told the old man, "Oh yeah, I'm right with you, George. Yeah, that's the way we got to vote."
Scandalous.
Just to keep things peaceful in the family. But again, for the most part, I remember back in my youth when I was coming of age and started learning more and more about politics, and when I registered to vote, I didn't talk about it with anybody. And nobody really talked about what they were doing to me that I can remember.
You take drugs?
Now, maybe you guys and gals out there might have a different story. I'd like to know. I grew up in a small town in a very rural state, so there might be a difference there. Maybe I grew up in a certain area where political talk was not a thing. Maybe where you grew up, if you grew up in a big city or you grew up somewhere else, that was. I'd like to know. Leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts on that. But for me, it was pretty personal. And for my family, it was that way. You registered, you voted, and you went on with life. Did you bitch about what the government was doing at times? Yeah. Were you happy when certain things happened that you approved of? Sure. But for the most part, you lived your life. You were not constantly bombarded 24/7 with political shit. This guy said that. This woman said this. They're bad. They're good. We're good. They're bad.
So before you lie about lying,
It didn't happen. It just wasn't there. Like in my last episode, times are changing because of the internet, because of the 24/7, 365 news cycle that we have on our TVs and on our computers that we stream constantly. It's in our face all the time. Does it need to be? I don't know. That's a thought. It's good to be informed. I'm not going to argue about that. Too much information is not good either. Because not necessarily all the information we're receiving is true, is legit. By the 1980s and 90s, things were getting a little more active when it came to, and again, this is me. All of you might have other thoughts or other experiences that you would like to share. But for me, in the 80s and 90s, I moved away from my little small town, moved to the big city, but still, it wasn't saturation city. Political events happened, people voted, people bitched and moaned about the government, but it wasn't a visceral hate of this party and that party and this person and that person to the point it is where it is today. I'd be curious to hear from you guys out there, and sorry that I was being sexist.
Sexist.
To you guys and gals out there, I'd like to hear from you. For those of you that were active politically in the 80s and 90s, did you feel the hate of the other party? I didn't. I certainly didn't in the 70s when I first started voting. And I'll admit, like most kids that register to vote, okay, I'm generalizing here, I registered as a Democrat and voted Democrat because, well, that's what my mom and dad did. So, I did the same. Over time, I switched. I thought, well, nope, I don't think the same way that my parents do. And no, I don't think the same way that this party's policies are going. So yes, I did change.
Change is good.
Is it?
I not only changed from Democrat to Republican, I decided after being Republican for a while that no, don't agree with all this either. That's when I went to be an independent. And I stayed an independent for quite some time. And then I changed to a libertarian. So again, when we got into the 80s and 90s, I want to know from you guys, if you felt that things were still personal, things were still close to the vest. Yes, there was competition in the political parties. Yes, there was disagreement. I don't think it was the way it is today. So let me know. Like always, give me a comment. Give me a suggestion. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell. The easiest way that you can send me any communication is through my email. And that is mark@manupwithmark.com. So shoot me something there. Well, don't shoot me, but send me an email. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about what politics is like now. Boo. Scares Mommy.
Are you done talking now?
Until then, see ya.
If you have a question or comment, email Mark at manupwithmark.com.